All right, so we're solving quadratics by factoring. The first thing I want to talk about is the zero product property. And it's actually a lot like what it sounds, zero product. So product means to what? Not add.
It's like multiply.
Multiply. It's like when we multiply, right? So a product is when we multiply. So for example, if I have A times B, so zero product, so my product is 0 equals 0, right? Then I know that either A is 0 or B is 0, because when you multiply and get 0, one of your multiples has to be 0, right? So we're going to use the zero product property here to solve this equation in example 1. So example 1 says, what are the solutions of the equation 4t plus 1 times t minus 2 equals 0? Well, we want to know what is t to make that 0, right? I'm sorry. You can change it to another letter if you would prefer. All right. So this is what I think is kind of fun from yesterday. Remember yesterday I said if it's a solution, solutions, that another way of saying that is when y is 0, what is x, right? Look here, when y is 0, what is x? Or in this case, t, right? Hey, look at that. See, it's coming all around. It's full circle. You ready? So what I want to know is what value of t would make this 0. So what we're going to do is, here I said, well, either a is 0 or b can be 0, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set each part of this equation equal to 0. So I'm going to say 4t minus 1. Sorry, that's a plus 1. Plus 1, I apologize. Equals 0. We also have t minus 2 equals 0. All right, we're going to take this all the way back to the beginning of the year. We're going to solve for each of those variables. I know it's been a while, right? So here, how do I get t by itself? How do I get t by itself? Subtract 1. So then I have 4t equals negative 1. And then divide by 4. So I've got t, there we go. T equals negative 1/4. All right, in the second equation, I have t minus 2 equals 0. Jaden, what do I got to do to get that t by itself? How do I move that 2, that minus 2? What's the opposite of minus 2? So we're going to add 2 to both sides of the equation. So then t equals 2. So my solutions are going to be negative 1/4, 0, and 2, 0. because when y is 0, t is negative 1/4 and positive 2. Is that okay? All right. All right, so let's talk about solving by factoring. So we're going to take what we just did. Is that okay? Are we all right? Okay. I wanted to make sure I wasn't going too quickly. All right, so there's 2 steps to solving by factoring. So first, we're going to factor. I left out letters. Using the 5-step method. So we just reviewed that in the warm-up, right? And then we're going to use the zero product property like we did here in example 1. Yasmin, please put your phone away, hon. All right, let's try it. I'm going to scoot this up just a smidge. So example 2 says, what are the solutions for my equation x squared plus 8x plus 15 equals 0? All right, so first let's use the 5-step method. So 1, what's A? Well, what's in front of it? 1, so I've got 1 times, what's C? 15, 1 times 15 is 15, right? Next, we're going to factor. So what are the factors of 15? 1 times 15, negative 1 times negative 15, 3 times 5, negative 3 times negative 5. That's beautiful. I think that's all of them, yes?
Do we have to do the negatives?
Well, do we? Because if you see that this is a positive, then we really don't need the negatives, do we? So if you can see some of the shortcuts, use them. Go for it. But if you write out all of just the positive factors and you can't find your b value, you want to do the rest of them just to make sure. Okay? All right, so number 3, which of these add up? Oh, there we go. Which of these add up to 8? 3 and 5. Beautiful. So then step 4, I'm going to write x plus 3, x plus 5, And then we have to divide by a, right? But dividing by 1, Marcus, is that going to change anything? No. So I have x plus 3, x plus 5. Oh, sorry. All right, what's my next step? I said first we're going to use the 5-step method, then we're going to what? Use the zero product property. So now I can say, well, x plus 3, why is my pen not working? Times x plus 5, there we go, equals 0. So if a product equals 0, then I know one or both of the terms is 0, right? So we're going to write that. So we're going to say x plus 3 equals 0. X plus 5 equals 0. And solve each of those for x. All right, Miss Lena, what's the first thing I want to do to solve that x plus 3 equals 0? If I want to get x by itself, how do I move that 3? Subtract, that's it. That's all there is to it. So I have x equals negative 3. It's perfect. Well, what about the second one? What about that second one? I've got x plus 5, subtract 5. Beautiful. So I have x equals negative 5. So then my zeros are going to be negative 3, 0, and negative 5, 0. That's it. What do y'all think? We can do it? We can do it? It takes a couple of steps, yes. We can do this, though. All right, let's take a look at another example. Let's do one more like this. You ready? Example 3 says, what are the solutions of 4x squared minus 21x equals 18? So first, Marcus, very first, is it asking what is x when y is 0? What is x when y is 0? No, right? Because what's y? 18. We got to change that because I want to know, well, what is x? Not what is x when y is 18. That's just some point on, that's not any special point probably, right? Ooh. Well, it does have to be 0. What can I do to make that 18 0? Uh-huh. Like we were doing just now, right? How do I move that 18? There we go. So if I subtract 18 from both sides of my equation, right? I'm going to get 4x squared minus 21x. I didn't give myself enough space. Yes, we do. The question was, do we have to do the 5-step, right? Yes, we do, but before we do the 5-step, it has to equal 0. We have to have equals 0 because I want to know what is x when y is 0, not 18. And that works out too now because now I have a c value, right? Hey, negative 18. Excuse me. All right, so let's start out with the 5-step method. So step 1, we're going to multiply a times c. What's my a value?
4.
4, beautiful. And what's c? Negative 18, right? So what is 4 times negative 18? Negative 72. Step 2, I want to list all the factors of negative 72. We got 1 and negative 72, negative 1 and positive 72. All right, 2, what goes into 272 2 times? 36. Negative 2, positive 36. 3, does 3 go into 72? Negative 24, so that's negative 3, positive 24. What about 4? $18, negative 4, positive 18. 5 doesn't. Does 6?
12.
12, negative 6, positive 12. 7? No. 8? 9? How many times? Yes, 9 does. 9, how many times? 8, very good. And then negative 9 and positive 8. And that's all, right? All right, so step 3. Step 3, which of these add up to negative 21? Ooh. 3 and negative 24. So step 4, I'm going to have x plus 3, x minus 24. So Devin, what do I need to divide by next? By the a value. What's my a value? Well, look at the original equation. What's our a value? 4. There we go. So now I have x plus 3 over 4 doesn't reduce. X minus, does 24 over 4 reduce? 6. Now step 5. What do I do with that denominator?
Bring it to the x.
Bring it in front of the x. You got it. So I've got 4x plus 3. X minus 6. All right, Xavier, next we have to use those factors with the zero product property. So now I have, oh, where's my pen? There we go. 4x plus 3 times x minus 6 equals 0. So that means I can say 4x plus 3 equals 0. X minus 6 equals 0. So what do I got to move first to get x by itself and the 4x plus 3 equals 0? Minus 3. We have to subtract 3 from both sides. So I get 4x equals negative 3. And then divide both sides by 4. So I get x equals negative 3/4. Perfect. All right. In the second equation, I have x plus 6. So what do I do to get x by itself? Add 6. Beautiful. Thank you, Miss Lena. That's perfect. So that's going to give me x equals 6. So then my solutions are negative 3/4, 0, and 6, 0. Is that okay, Marcus? Not so bad? Could be worse? Yeah? Well, this could be useful. See, when we get a fraction, that's not so easy to see on the calculator, right? So solving it this way could be useful, especially if you have a fraction or a decimal, yes? All right. One last thing, you ready? Last one. Last one. Last example today. Okay. We're going to factor by grouping. And I need to make a change to my example here. I'm going to make this x cubed plus x squared minus 16x minus 16 equals 0. All right, so let's just see if we can remember the steps to factor by grouping. What do we got to do?
Miss Rose, what the heck is the second x thing?
Oh, this one?
No.
Right there? That's a 2. Sorry. Squared. That's a squared. I apologize. There. Jane, is that a better 2? I apologize.
I'll let it slide.
Okay, good. Thank you. I was hoping you would. All right, so remember when we factor by grouping, this is going to be a very very broad directions. So remember, you're going to group. You're going to split your function into groups. So I'm going to have, what, 2 pairs? So here we're going to pair the terms. Factor out your like terms, and then write your factors. I'm going to pair my terms, factor out like terms, write the factors. So it's been a little while since we factored by grouping. I think we did that, what, a week ago? That was a little while ago? Caitlin, was it a week ago? About something like that? So let's see if we can do this. You ready? Well, if I factor, yes. Oh, yes. Better? Thank you. So if I pair my first 2 terms and I pair my last 2 terms, Mr. Munoz, what do x cubed and x squared have in common? They both have an x, right? How many x's? Just the one? They both, well, one has x cubed, one has x squared. So they both have x squared in common, right? So let's factor out x squared from the first one. So I've got x squared times what's left? Plus 1, right? Yes? Are you asking about my handwriting?
Yes.
You got it?
No, sorry, I think no.
Factor out the like terms? Okay. Oh, because, I'm so glad you asked. So x times x is x cubed, right? X squared times x is x cubed. X squared times 1 is x squared. Right? Ah. All right, what about negative 16x minus 16? What do those two terms have in common?
16.
Negative 16, right? They both have a minus 6. So let's factor out minus 16. So, Miss Caitlin, what do I have left?
0.
Well, negative 16 times what would give me negative 16x? Well, here we have the negative 16, but no x, right? So what about x, right? And then negative 16 times what gives me negative 16? Negative 1?
Positive.
Positive 1. Very good. Oh, that's my arrow. I need the pen. There we go. Equals 0 still. All right. I'll scooch this over so I can see better. There we go. Can I scoop up now? We good? All right. So now, Xavier, do I have a matching pair of binomials? Yeah, so that's one of my factors. X plus 1. And my other factor is going to be x squared minus 16. Oh, this is fun. So is this a difference of two perfect squares? Yes. What's the square root of x? Sorry, the square root of x squared. X, so I have x.
Wait, why'd you put minus 16?
Because we have a minus 16 here.
Oh, that's weird.
Yep. Good question. All right, so we're going to have plus and minus. And what's the square root of 16? 4. Ah, well, this is the thing. We're not going to look at that negative. We're just going to look at that b value. Because the equation says, remember on your formula chart, it says if you have a squared minus b squared, then we can write that as a plus b times a minus b. Right? And that's why we did it. All right, then we still have that x plus 1. Oh, and these all equal 0. So using the zero product property, what can I do with each of these three terms to solve? What did we do before? We set them all equal to what? 0 and then solved. So we've got x plus 4 equals 0. X minus 4 equals 0. X plus 1 equals 0. I'm going to give y'all a moment. I want you to find my 3 zeros. So, for the first one, how did y'all find 4? What do we need to do? Sorry, how did y'all find x? What did we need to do first?
I cut off.
You cut off the 4. So then x is negative 4, right? What about the second one?
I added
You added 4. Perfect. Did I freeze?
Yes.
Okay. So x equals 4. Sorry about that. Look at me. There we go. All right, finally, Xavier, how am I going to get x by itself? What do I got to move? I want to get x by itself. So we're going to do the opposite and subtract 1, right? Beautiful. So x equals negative 1. Alright, so I've got negative 4, 0, positive 4, 0, negative 1, 0.